There's something almost everyone goes through life without realizing. Not just some obscure idea, but something so fundamental, so obvious, that it hides in plain sight. And the moment you truly see it, everything about how you experience life begins to shift. So what is this secret that 99% of people miss? It's the realization that you are not what you think you are. Now, I know that can sound like vague, philosophical wordplay, but stay with me for a moment. Think about what's happening right now as you're listening to this. What are you aware of? You're aware of thoughts moving through your mind. Maybe you're noticing feelings in your body, sounds in your environment, images or memories flashing in your head. But here's the real question: who, or what, is aware of all of this? If you answer, well, I am, the next question is, what exactly is that I? When you go looking for it, when you try to pin it down, what do you actually find? Most people go through their whole lives completely identified with their thoughts. If a worried thought shows up, they say, I'm worried. If anger shows up, they say, I'm angry. If a memory surfaces, they immediately call it their memory. But let's slow down here. Watch your thoughts for just a moment. Notice how they rise and fall, come and go, without you deliberately choosing them. You don't pick your next thought in advance, it just appears. If you really were your thoughts, how could you also observe them? Who or what is doing the watching? This is the part that nearly everyone misses. There's a vast difference between the thinker and the thoughts, between the experiencer and the experiences. You are not the content of your mind. You are not the stories, the emotions, or the fleeting sensations. You are the one who is aware of them. You are consciousness itself. But from the time we're kids, we're taught the exact opposite. We're trained to identify with the contents of consciousness instead of the consciousness itself. We're taught to say things like, I'm sad, instead of sadness is being experienced. I am successful, instead of success is happening right now. We end up convinced that we are the shifting content, our emotions, our identities, our personal stories, instead of the spacious awareness in which all of it comes and goes. And this misidentification, this basic mistake, is the root of almost all human suffering. Here's a simple example. Right now, you're aware of these words, but you're also aware that you're aware. That second layer of knowing, the awareness of awareness, is what you truly are, not the thoughts about it, not the concepts surrounding it, but the raw awareness itself. And here's the remarkable thing. Awareness is never stained by what appears within it. Think about it. When you have a painful thought, does the awareness itself actually become painful? When fear arises, does awareness itself get scared? No. Awareness remains clear, spacious, unchanging. It's like a mirror. It reflects everything that passes in front of it, but is stained by nothing. So why don't most people see this? Because from birth, we're conditioned to focus only on the objects of awareness, never on awareness itself. We learn words, labels, categories for everything we see, feel, and think. We start piling up stories and building identities. I'm John. I'm 35 years old. I'm a doctor. I'm married. I'm worried about money. I'm proud of my achievements. But what are all of these? They're just thoughts, just stories appearing inside awareness. None of them is what you actually are. You are the space in which John arises as an idea. You are the consciousness in which 35 years old is known as a concept. You are the awareness in which doctor exists as an identity. And here's the liberating insight. Once you see that you are awareness itself, not the contents of awareness, life begins to change in a radical way. If you are not your thoughts, then worried thoughts cannot harm you. If you are not your emotions, then no wave of sadness or anger can overwhelm you. If you are not your circumstances, then even the most difficult situations can't diminish what you actually are. You're like the sky. Thoughts, feelings, circumstances, they're just the weather passing through. Storms come, storms go. Sunshine comes, sunshine goes. But the sky itself remains untouched, vast and open. And when you truly get this, not just as an idea but as a lived recognition, something extraordinary happens. Life stops being such a struggle. It becomes more like a play. You still have thoughts, but you know they're not you. You still feel emotions, but you see them as passing experiences. You still have a body and a personality, but you know they're just costumes consciousness is wearing for a while. And far from making you detached, this recognition makes you more alive, more present, and more responsive. Instead of automatically reacting from habit or fear, you begin to respond with clarity, creativity, and genuine presence. But here's the trap 9% of people fall into. Instead of recognizing their true nature, they spend their lives trying to fix or perfect the contents of consciousness. They chase after better thoughts, more pleasant emotions, more favorable circumstances. They work hard to upgrade their self-image, improve their personality, or achieve goals they think will complete them. But this is like polishing your reflection in a mirror, thinking it'll change who you are. The reflection might shift, but the mirror itself doesn't need improvement. It's already perfect at reflecting. In the same way, what you truly are doesn't need fixing. Awareness itself is already complete, already flawless at being aware. And here's where it gets radical. You actually don't have problems. Now that sounds ridiculous, right? You might say, of course I have problems. Look at my bills, my relationships, my health, my career. But take a closer look. Do you really have problems? Or do you have thoughts about problems? Without those thoughts, what exists are simply situations, neutral events unfolding in the present. A situation might need a response, yes, but the idea of it being a problem is always a story layered on top. You don't have a money problem. You have a situation involving money and a set of thoughts about what that means. You don't have a relationship problem. You have a situation involving another person and a mental story about how it should be different. Problems live in the mind. Situations live in reality. And when you stop identifying with the stories, situations can be dealt with clearly and wisely instead of with fear and confusion. People spend decades searching for happiness, peace, love, fulfillment. They look for it in achievements, relationships, experiences, even in spiritual practices. They believe that if they can just get the right job, meet the right partner, or achieve the right state of mind, then they'll finally be happy. But here's the paradox. What you're searching for is what's doing the searching. The peace you want is the peace you already are. The love you seek is the love you already are. The awareness you're trying to cultivate is the awareness that's been with you all along. It's like someone wandering the house frantically looking for their glasses while wearing them. The very ability to search is already the thing being searched for. And this is why so many spiritual paths can become traps. Meditation, mindfulness, philosophy, self-improvement, these can all be valuable. But the meditator is already the awareness they're trying to find. The seeker is already what they're seeking. You cannot become what you already are. You can only recognize it. So the question becomes, how do you recognize this? How do you wake up from the illusion that you're a small, separate individual, constantly battling problems? The simplest way is to notice what's always been here. Right now, in this very moment, notice that you are aware. Don't think about awareness, don't analyze it, don't try to understand it. Just notice it directly. The noticing itself is what you are. And if you stay with this for just a moment, you'll see something profound. This awareness has no edges, no boundaries, no location. It's not something trapped inside your skull. It's not inside or outside. It's the very field in which ideas like inside and outside even appear. This awareness isn't male or female. It isn't old or young. It isn't successful or unsuccessful. It doesn't have a history or a future. It's just here. Silent, open, present, unchanging. Now your mind might immediately jump in and protest, but I do have a history. I was born, I grew up, I've lived a whole life, I've built a personality, I've had experiences. Yes, and all of that appears within awareness. Your birth exists right now as a thought, a memory inside awareness. Your personality is a pattern of tendencies showing up in awareness. Even the idea of my life story, is just another set of concepts appearing in awareness. But what you are, the raw awareness itself, is prior to all of it. It's the space in which all of those experiences come and go. And when you recognize this, something incredible shifts. Life suddenly feels lighter. The heaviness of carrying around a rigid identity begins to fall away. Instead of life being a serious struggle, it becomes more like a cosmic play. You still take part in it, but without that constant sense of pressure and fear. You still act, but you act from a place of freedom instead of compulsion, from joy instead of anxiety, from love instead of need. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you're no longer defending or protecting a fragile sense of me, you actually become more alive. You become more responsive, more creative, more present to whatever is happening. Imagine all the energy you spend trying to improve, perfect, or defend this imaginary self. Imagine if that energy was freed up, not wasted on fear or self-doubt, but available for authentic living. That's the shift this recognition brings. But here's where most people get confused. You cannot practice being what you already are. You cannot work toward becoming what you've never stopped being. All practices, whether meditation, self-help, or spiritual rituals, can only point you back to what's always here. They don't create it, they don't produce it, they simply help you notice it. Think of it like this: using a flashlight to look for light. The flashlight can help you see objects, but the light you're searching for is already shining. You're bathing in it. It's what makes seeing possible in the first place. So what do you do with this understanding? How do you apply it? The truth is, you don't do anything with it. Instead, you allow it to work on you. When you really see that you're not who you thought you were, life begins to flow in a new way. Instead of you forcing yourself through life, life starts to live itself through you. Responses arise naturally. Love flows effortlessly. Wisdom emerges without effort. You become like water, able to flow around obstacles without resistance, taking the shape of any container, yet never losing your essence. And this is the realization that most people spend their lives missing. You are already free, already whole, already complete. Not perfect in the sense that there's nothing to improve in your circumstances or skills, but perfect in the sense that you lack nothing essential. The seeker is the sought. The experiencer is the experience. The knower is the known. You are not a person trying to have a spiritual experience. You are spirit itself, having a temporary human experience. You are not a body that somehow has consciousness. You are consciousness itself, playfully experiencing what it's like to be a body for a while. And once you realize this, here's the surprising part. You don't need to cling to the realization. You don't have to hold on to it. You don't need to practice staying awake, because what you are never comes and goes. It doesn't need to be maintained. It's the constant backdrop against which all comings and goings appear. Sure, you might forget from time to time. You might get lost in the stories again, pulled into identifying with your thoughts and emotions. But that doesn't change what you truly are. It's like the sun behind the clouds. The clouds may cover it, but the sun hasn't gone anywhere. It remains exactly what it is, shining the whole time. So here's the invitation. Look right now, not with your eyes, not with your thoughts, but with your being. What are you really? Not what you think you are, not what others have told you, not what your history suggests, but what you actually are in this moment. You are the open awareness reading these words. You are the space in which thoughts, feelings, and sensations appear and dissolve. You are the conscious presence that makes all experience possible. And this is the insight 99% of people never realize. But you don't have to be part of that 99%. The recognition is available right now, as close as your own sense of being. Because the truth is, you are not who you think you are. You are infinitely more, and paradoxically, infinitely simpler than you ever imagined. And this is the greatest discovery anyone can make. Not something you'll find in the future, not something to earn or achieve, but something so immediate it's almost always overlooked. It's been waiting for you your entire life. In fact, it's been living as you, patiently, quietly waiting for you to notice. So how do you notice? You shift your attention. Instead of being hypnotized by the objects of awareness, the thoughts, emotions, stories, you turn toward awareness itself. Instead of obsessing over the contents of consciousness, you recognize the consciousness itself. Instead of staring at the waves, you remember the ocean. Instead of getting lost in the dream, you wake up as the dreamer. That's it. That's the shift. And the moment you see this, everything else begins to reorient. Life doesn't necessarily become free of challenges, but the challenges lose their sting. You realize storms may come, but they're just weather passing through the sky. And you, the sky, remain vast and open. This is what 99% of people never realize. But right here, right now, you can. Now maybe you're wondering, if this is true, if I really am awareness itself, then why don't I feel it all the time? Why do I still get caught in stress, fear, doubt, and suffering? The answer is simple. Habit. From the moment we were children, we were conditioned to look outward, at thoughts, emotions, achievements, failures, identities. We were trained to focus on the reflections, not the mirror. That conditioning is so deep that even when you hear the truth, your mind quickly pulls you back into its old patterns. But here's the key. Nothing needs to change about you for this recognition to be true. You don't have to fix your personality. You don't have to become more spiritual, more disciplined, or more enlightened. You don't even have to feel peaceful or blissful. Why? Because awareness is already here, exactly as it is. It doesn't need your thoughts or emotions to behave a certain way in order to exist. It's already present, already perfect at being what it is. Think about it. When a storm fills the sky, does the sky need to fix the storm in order to remain the sky? Of course not. The storm rages, then passes, but the sky itself remains, untouched. The same is true for you. Fear may appear, anger may appear, sadness may appear, but you, the awareness, are never damaged by any of it. And when this is recognized deeply, something liberating happens. Even suffering loses its grip. Not because painful experiences vanish forever, but because you stop taking them personally. You stop mistaking the weather for the sky. So what happens when you live from this recognition? First, life feels lighter. The pressure to constantly fix yourself, perfect yourself, or prove yourself starts to fade. You realize that you've been chasing peace, love, and happiness in the wrong places, out there, in achievements, relationships, or external circumstances. But all along, those things were already alive in you as awareness itself. Second, you become more present. Without the constant burden of stories about past and future, you begin to meet life as it is, moment by moment. Each situation becomes simply what it is, without being colored by layers of judgment, fear, or resistance. Third, your actions start coming from clarity and love rather than from fear or lack. You still set goals, you still work hard, you still care deeply. But you're no longer enslaved by the idea that your worth depends on the outcome. You play the game of life fully, but with the freedom of knowing it's a game. This doesn't mean you float through life detached or indifferent. Actually, the opposite happens. You become more engaged, more compassionate, more creative, because you're no longer distracted by defending an imaginary identity. Here's another paradox. You may forget this recognition again and again. You may fall back into old habits of identifying with thoughts and emotions. But that doesn't matter. Because what you are, awareness itself, remains exactly the same whether you recognize it or not. It's like the sun hidden behind clouds. Even if you don't see it, it's still shining. And eventually the clouds part again. So stop worrying about whether you can stay awake. Stop trying to hold on to the recognition as if it's a fragile object. It's not something you can lose. It's what you are. Now, let's take this even deeper. When you fully see that you are not who you thought you were, you also realize you can't actually be threatened. How could awareness itself be harmed? How could the open sky be broken by the storm passing through? You can't truly fail, because failure only exists as a story in thought. You can't truly be unloved, because what you are is the love that makes all loving possible. This doesn't make you reckless or irresponsible. It makes you free. Free to live with creativity, courage, and authenticity, without the constant background fear of loss, failure, or rejection. And here's the most wonderful part. Once you recognize this, you see it was never missing. You don't become awareness, you don't achieve it, you don't earn it. You've always been it. You just got caught in the dream of being something smaller. The recognition itself is simple, but living from it feels revolutionary because, suddenly, the search is over. You're no longer a seeker chasing after peace, love, or fulfillment. You see that the very capacity to seek was already the thing you were looking for. This is why people say spiritual seeking can become a trap. You meditate, you pray, you study, you practice, all of which can be valuable. But if you think they will one day give you what you already are, you'll be searching forever. It's like running around the house looking for your glasses while they're already on your face. At some point, you just stop and realize, oh, and it was here the whole time. So let's return to the question we began with. What is it that 99% of people never realize? It's this. You are not who you think you are. You are not the thoughts in your head. You are not the stories you've been telling yourself. You are not the emotions that rise and fall. You are not your circumstances, your past, or your future. You are the awareness in which all of these things appear and disappear. You are the vast open space of consciousness itself. And once you see this, even if just for a moment, you join the 1% who finally understand what life has been pointing to all along. The recognition doesn't require belief. It doesn't require understanding. It doesn't even require acceptance. It only requires one thing: looking. So look now. Look not with your mind, but with your being. Notice the awareness in which these words are appearing. Notice the still, silent presence that is always here. This is it. This is the realization people spend lifetimes overlooking. And once you see it, you can never fully unsee it. Because the truth is, you've been free all along, whole all along, complete all along. The only question is, are you ready to notice?